I think she was having some audio issues, so.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning. Good to see everyone
How are-
today.
Good to see you. Ashley should be joining shortly. She had some technical issues with her computer and was rebooting.
Okay.
And I believe we're waiting on the treasurer as well to join so we can have a quorum.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning,
Okay.
Ashley.
Thank you for your patience. My mic wasn't working. I had to do a quick reboot, so thank you.
I think we're just waiting on the treasurer, Ashley.
Thank you, Marcos.
So Governor, is the Senate all organized and ready to go next week?
We are. It'll be interesting, being that it's going to be the largest freshman class that I've ever been a part of. So it'll be interesting. Maybe the largest freshman class ever.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Quite a bit of turnover.
Have to be educating them on how to do everything then, huh, from the pulpit.
Yeah, it'll be good. And then, I have plenty of help from the majority and the minority leaders. They do a good job of understanding the decorum. Once we get the treasurer to log in, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
It looks like she just
Lieutenant
joined.
Governor, I
Lieutenant
believe
Governor.
she's joining now. Yeah, thanks, Marcos. Jinx.
Good morning, Governor. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, treasurer.
Morning.
So good to see you.
You too.
Morning. Morning, Treasurer.
Stu's looking like death, but I'm here.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Just a reminder that I wanted to first thank everyone for being versatile and switching over to virtual. We wanted to make sure that the meeting took place. Didn't want to have to reschedule it, and so this was a good option there. But we'll get into a little more discussion on that. Just a reminder that when you're not speaking, please have your microphone on mute. When you do speak, please state your name for the record. With that, we'll go ahead and call for a roll call.
Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales,
Present.
State Treasurer Laura Montoya,
Good morning, present.
Member Michael Sanchez, Member Paul Cassidy,
Present.
Member Wendy Trevisani, Member Joseph Lujan.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Again, just want to thank everyone for joining us. We're going to go on to the approval of the agenda. Ashley, I'm going to turn over to you first if there was anything that you wanted to add or discuss on the agenda.
Yes, Lieutenant Governor, members, we do not have any changes to the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead and ask for a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Treasurer Montoya. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Cassidy on approval of the agenda. We can have the roll please be called.
Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales,
Yes.
State Treasurer Laura Montoya,
Yes.
Member Paul Cassidy,
Yes.
Member Joseph Lujan.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. We'll go on to item number 3. That's approval of the minutes for December 17th, 2024 regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thought moved.
We have a motion by Treasurer Montoya and a second by Member Lujan. We can have the roll please be called.
Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales,
Yes.
State Treasurer Laura Montoya,
Yes.
Member Paul Cassidy,
Yes.
Member Joseph Lujan.
Yes.
A motion is approved.
Okay, we'll go on to the next item. That's going to be consent agenda items number 4 through 15. Ashley, I'm going to turn over to you so you can guide us through that process.
Yes, thank you, Lieutenant Governor and members. The consent agenda items begin on page 19 of the board books that were shared with you. We begin with several submissions from the Higher Education Department on behalf of some of our higher education institutions. Item number 4 comes from New Mexico State University, requesting approval of capital expenditures for renovations to Hadley Hall for $1,471,566. Moving on to item number 5, this has been submitted by New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. It is requesting approvals to spend $8.5 million for phase 2 construction of the new Petroleum Research Recovery Center. Item number 6 has been submitted by the University of New Mexico Taos campus, requesting approval of revised capital expenditures for renovations of the Fred Peralta Hall. This would be for a total of $6,458,163. Item number 7, submitted by the University of New Mexico, is a request for approval to spend $6,790,000 to renovate the Toe Diem athletic facility. Excuse me. And then item number 8, also from University of New Mexico, is requesting approval of the acquisition of real property located at 1000 Avenida de Cesar Chavez in Albuquerque for $5 million. I would note for item number 8 that if approved, approval would be contingent upon the directors and council's receipt and review of a fully executed warranty deed. Moving on to item number 9, this has been submitted by Bernalillo County. Bernalillo County is requesting approval of the lease of real property located at 2045 and 2051 Wyoming Boulevard in Albuquerque to Wings for Life. This is for $111,120 per year, with services in lieu of rent being contemplated under this lease. If approved, approval would be contingent upon the directors and council's receipt and review of a fully executed lease agreement from the county. Item number 10 has been submitted by the Department of Finance and Administration. DFA is requesting approval of an amendment to the fiscal year 25 budget for the E911 program. This would bring the FY25 budget up to $17,435,533. Item number 11 has been submitted by Housing New Mexico. It's requesting a private activity bond volume cap allocation for Sunset 1600 project located in Roswell. That volume cap request is for $5,700,000. Item number 12 has been submitted by staff for Board of Finance. Item number 12 is the determination of the 2025 Board of Finance Secretary. Senator Michael Sanchez is being recommended to continue serving as the secretary for the board. Item number 13 is the determination of members for private activity bond, banking, audit, rule change, and procurement subcommittees. The listing of those subcommittees is on page 1,191 of the board books. I can go through those members if you'd like, Lieutenant Governor, but we will post that on our website following the meeting. And then item number 14 is the Open Meetings Act Resolution 25-01. That can be located on page 1193 of the board books. And then on 1197 of the board book is item number 15, which is Interest Rate Policy 25-02. And with that, Mr. Chair and members, I will stand for any questions that we may have.
Thank you for that, Ashley. Are there any questions from board members? Any discussion from staff?
No, Chairman, thank you.
Okay, we'll go
Make
ahead.
a motion to approve with the contingencies stated by the Board of Finance Director.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval by Treasurer Montoya. Do we have a second?
I will second it.
Second by
Cassidy.
Cassidy. We can have the roll please be called.
Yes. Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales,
Yes.
State Treasurer Laura Montoya,
Yes.
Member Paul Cassidy,
Yes.
Member Joseph Lujan.
Yes.
A motion is approved.
Thank you. We'll go on to the next item. That's going to be higher education graduate programs. It'll be item number 16 on your agenda. New Mexico State University requests approval of the Doctor of Philosophy in Applied and Agricultural Biology program.
Good morning, Lieutenant Governor and committee members. My name is Dr. Jody Weber, and I am from the Academic Affairs and Policy Division of HED today, and also our Director, Mark Chisholm, is here. I'd like to introduce Dr. Ranjit Kudali, who is the Dean of the Graduate School and Associate Provost for International Affairs at NMSU. And Dr. Kudali, would you introduce your team and your presentation? Thank you.
Well, good morning, and thank you so very much for giving us an opportunity to discuss this new program. And I truly appreciate the flexibility in having this meeting to be conducted virtually. So we are truly grateful to all of the distinguished members of the board. With me are the Associate Dean of Academics in the College of ACES, Agricultural, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences, Dr. Don Connor, and the department head, Dr. Ricardo Ramirez, who will be presenting this new exciting program that we believe will make a difference to individuals here in this state. Dr. Ramirez and Dr. Connor, please go ahead with your presentation.
Hello, thank you again. I'm Ricardo Ramirez. I'm the department head for entomology, plant pathology, and weed science. And I do appreciate you giving us the time to present our proposal for a PhD in applied and agricultural biology. We can go on to the next slide. So the Applied and Agricultural Biology PhD program is a multidisciplinary graduate degree that encompasses the disciplines of our department, which is entomology, plant pathology, and weed science. And these disciplines are critical to understanding plant and animal protection and health, food security, and human health. And as I incorporated into our proposal is really to support a rising population, agricultural productivity must increase 50 to 70% over the next 25 years. And that's a goal that's made especially challenging by new pests and disease outbreaks. So state, regional, and also national needs exist for expertise to respond to these issues. So over 40% of the food supply is lost to pests and disease pre-harvest, and a large range between 8 to 70% of the remainder is lost post-harvest. So this research-focused PhD degree program really evaluates outbreaks of organisms that are harmful to New Mexico agriculture. And our students would be finding solutions and developing tools to suppress these organisms, but also to conserve beneficial species like predatory insects, pollinators, And these students would investigate these questions from molecular to landscape scales. Now, our department currently offers 2 undergraduate majors and a master's degree. So we would be looking to add a PhD in applied and agricultural biology to this repertoire, and it's a natural fit as it goes across these degree programs. We can move to the next slide, please. The PhD careers in applied and agricultural biology include the State Department of Agriculture, for example, New Mexico Department of Ag. We are a land-grant institution, so extension is a major role within our university, but also all land-grant universities. And so extension specialist positions are PhD level positions. So NMSU Cooperative Extension would be one of those examples of where there are career opportunities for our students. Of course, at the federal level, research scientist positions are also PhD level positions with USDA, NRCS. You'll know that in New Mexico, there's a close connection between USDA Jornada Experimental Range and NMSU currently, where they have research scientists, but there's other federal agencies within the state as well, such as APHIS, the Animal Plant Health Inspection Service, of where there's opportunities. Higher education is another one. PhDs out of our program, they're biologists. We're a specialized type of biologist, but we would be competitive for faculty positions, not only within our department, but also in biology, ecology, natural resources. Industry is also another area of opportunity, including chemical companies. We've included letters of support from chemical companies, also professional consulting. One that's local here is Marathon Ag and Environmental Consulting that provided a letter for us. And so we have letters of support indicating the demands based on needs for New Mexico regionally and also nationally. The incomes for our PhD would be very competitive salaries for this STEM degree at the PhD level. And really what's promising here is that the job postings per graduate, a ratio of 2.1. So that's actually very favorable. We can move to the next slide, please. So what's the importance of our PhD program to New Mexico? Well, our PhD program supports sustainable and value-added agriculture. Of course, that's one of the 9 priority sectors that New Mexico has identified for economic growth. And what's really important here is that each of our PhD students' dissertation research supports the agricultural economy as they're going through their program. Again, they're dealing with invasive species that are moving into the region that are harming our agriculture. And so they're working to solve those problems in the time that they're here with us. But we also look to attract New Mexico students and keep that expertise here in the state. I'm actually one of the examples. I actually got my bachelor's and master's here in this department. They didn't have a PhD program. I moved on elsewhere and was a faculty member elsewhere. And I'm here. Luckily, I've come back here in the last year and a half. But that's one of those opportunities that I think we have for the state, because we don't have this PhD program currently, that we can elevate to attract those New Mexico students to stick around in the region and keep that expertise here. As I mentioned, we have a lot of letters of support. Stakeholders at all levels have expressed the need for the program. And through those letters, you'll see that they show a strength in collaboration, not only within our college with the other departments in ACES, but also outside of our college as well. The biology department here provided a fantastic letter of support showing the synergy that our PhD program would have with their department, but others across the university as well. Another one that's kind of an intriguing one is the importance of faculty recruitment and retention to New Mexico. PhD programs really provide the faculty the opportunity to establish a nationally, internationally recognized research program. It's one thing we don't currently have in our department. And so this helps us address prospective faculty as we're recruiting them to select our institution rather than selecting institutions that currently offer that opportunity to them to establish themselves as researchers. NMSU is one of the only institutions not offering a PhD in the disciplines of our department currently. We're one of 2 universities, Colorado State being the other one, that integrates entomology, plant pathology, and weed science together, but we're the only ones that would be cross-training PhD students for future challenges unique to the region. So being in the semi-arid West, that's pretty unique to us, and so we want to carry on that expertise in particular. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide, please. I won't go through each of these points, but this is the program market trends through Gray's data. We have enrollment volume year over year of 60% for this program, ranking the 89th percentile. What I really want to highlight is the potential for growth. Only 4 universities have graduates in the West market, and I've indicated those here. Of these 4 WICHE institutions, they only offer a PhD in plant pathology specific PhDs, and in Hawaii, a PhD in tropical plant pathology. So again, NMSU's PhD is multidisciplinary, and it will meet the needs of New Mexico through the fields of our department. The other promising potential for growth here is the new student enrollment volume increased by 9 units to 24, ranking in the 85th percentile. We can move to the next slide. I won't go into the details of the coursework, but what I will mention for our PhD program is that the PhD is an in-person, research-focused graduate STEM degree. We would be looking to recruit master's students into our PhD program. Students with a bachelor's degree would move into our master's degree and then have the potential, just as I did, then to move on to a PhD if they were stellar students. We can move to the next slide. Our enrollment projections would be 2 students a year, given the size of our department, and I'll talk about that in just a bit. This doesn't account for the current PhD students that our faculty advise already that would be transferring in the initial term. Our faculty do advise a range of between 6 and 12 PhDs, and this is without a program. So we would be looking to formalize this. We can move to the next slide. The tuition revenue projections using a tuition rate of $347 per student credit hour per year. This is 18 for 2 students. We're looking at $12,491, and then carrying that across each of the years that we're gaining 2 additional students. Over 5 years, we're looking at $74,878. We can move to the next slide. The faculty and existing facilities, equipment, and technical resources. So we are housed in Skeen Hall at New Mexico State University. This is the building here. We have a microscopy lab, a chemical analysis lab, a quarantine facility. We have an arthropod collection, which our students would have access to. We have several labs that are specific to entomology, nematology, plant pathology. We are associated with the Ag Experiment Station, which as you would know, New Mexico State University has research sites throughout throughout New Mexico, and we do utilize those research sites with our faculty and our graduate students and undergraduates in their research, and also the greenhouses that are associated. We have the future vivarium through the biomedical facility that's coming up. Phase 1 has been completed, is operational. Phase 2 and 3 begins this month, and completion is for 2027. We do have an urban entomology component of our department that looks at bed bugs, kissing bugs that also spread disease to humans. And so this would be one of those opportunities for those graduate students to utilize this resource. Our faculty resources, we have 9 faculty that are research and instruction, 2 faculty that are extension and research. So this is where students can gain that extension experience. But in addition to that, those extension faculty have the ability to advise our graduate students as well. We have 2 faculty at our Ag Science Centers, 1 in Clovis, 1 in Artesia, and we have 4 research scientists. And each of these faculty really have strong national and international collaborations. They also have strong research potential. Our department within our college is one of the top departments in bringing grant funding per FTE. And again, I mentioned that our faculty are already advising PhD students. We can move to the next slide, please. So our projected expenses, given that we've been advising PhD students already, we're moving through this process without a formal program. There's no additional expenses needed for the program. Our faculty are in place. We're currently advising and serving as major advisors to those PhD students. Library resources are in place. As I mentioned before about our facilities and equipment, that's there. Our graduate student assistantships. This comes through internal and external grants and contracts. Primarily, we're seeing this in our department through USDA HSI grants where we've been really successful, NMDA through the specialty crop block grants, BLM, also the New Mexico Chili Association. This is just to name a few of those opportunities. We also have a few teaching assistantships as well that support our graduate students. You can move to the next slide. So what's the projected benefit here? Well, our PhD students will get training opportunities in undergraduate teaching as well. We actually have some of our current PhD students that are having to go through other programs, but they're actually assisting us with teaching as instructors and gaining that experience. We can leverage those opportunities in training to increase the flexibility in our current faculty teaching in other graduate courses. PhD student grant fellowship opportunities also exist. We have a letter of support from USDA program leader for the pre and postdoc fellowship awards, providing evidence of the different opportunities that our students would have. Those graduate students, as they write those fellowships, also would include undergraduates into those fellowships that also provide an increase in undergraduate training and research. I will mention that one of our faculty members also teaches a grant writing course. And so that would provide some success also with these students to be successful in that fellowship opportunity. The faculty grant opportunities as well. So the indirect cost recovery would be larger from larger grants because they have to support graduate students at the PhD level, which are also with us a longer period of time than our current master's students. And I've already mentioned this before, but the recruitment and retention of faculty in New Mexico is definitely a benefit. And also attracting those New Mexico PhD students is also another benefit. We can move to the last slide. And so I really do thank you for your attention, and we'd be happy to entertain any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that in-depth and thorough presentation. I appreciate that. If there's no further presentations from anyone from New Mexico State, I'll go ahead and just turn it over for any questions of board members. Member Cassidy, I believe you want to speak. You're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Lieutenant Governor, yes, I do have a couple of observations and questions. First of all, I am impressed that you have the capacity to put on this PhD program without additional faculty, without additional resources. So it's the revenue produced is just purely additive. And I think that's happened before with degrees that you brought forward. So it's great that you're trying to figure out what our students need, what our state needs. More of an observation. The grant funding per FTE was really impressive. And I'd love to have comparative data, but no need to do that today for this. But that was really helpful to see. And the question I have is how many students are in the various programs under these degrees, just at plant entomology and others? That could, what's the total big picture number, I guess?
Right. So for our faculty, I mean, we're looking at 9. So we're upwards of 9, 10, 11 faculty where we have current graduate capabilities for having graduate students. And so, even with one PhD student, with one PhD student per faculty member, there alone, we're at that 9 to 10 students. I will say currently, as I mentioned, it was a surprise to me. I will say I've been here for a year and a half. And it was a surprise to me that our faculty were already advising a number of, we're upwards of 8 PhD students, through other programs, whether it's through the Plant and Environmental Sciences Department, biology, animal science, range science, so it was really interesting that we had this capacity. It was just kind of piecemealed together to make sure that they got the expertise that they need. So this is more of the formality here, or at least to try to really formalize this so that way we could get our students what they actually need. And so we're looking at about that kind of 10 students, I think, is what we'd be looking. But on our projections, we're really 2 per year.
If I could, Governor, just how many students overall are in undergrad, master's, as well as PhD? This didn't ask the question really well.
Got you. Okay. So for our master's program currently, I think what I mentioned, on average, we have 13 students as our as our master's students. So we would be adding probably even doubling that, because I mean, at this point, given the 8 students, we're looking at closer to the 20 to 24 range of graduate students alone.
So this degree really filters through to the rest of the programs in terms of building.
Correct.
Count. Thank you. That's all. And Governor,
Sorry.
thank you. Great presentation. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Member Cassidy, and thank you for the answering of those questions. Are there any other questions from board members?
Governor, one question.
Madam Treasurer?
Thank you very much. Great presentation. I completely agree with Member Cassidy, for you to be able to fund yourselves and this program to be at New Mexico State just seems like such a beautiful fit. Just to add to the numbers on, is there a 48% completion of the PhD level of what you're supposing is going to occur with this program? Can you clarify that 48% completion?
Right. So that's through Gray's data showing that 48% completions are at that PhD level for the numbers that they have through Gray's data. Not right within this the zip code that we use.
So if you're only having 2 to 8 coming in, are you saying that only half of them will succeed?
No, so those numbers aren't relative to the number that enter for completion. So it's more out of the total number of students that you have in this program, and this is actually across master's students and even undergrads. So 48% of those completions are at the PhD level. So like the student body, it's not necessarily like the, if you have 100 people in the PhD, that only 48% complete that degree, if that makes sense.
So instead of it being that, Mr. Governor, you're saying 48% of all students that go to NMSU, 48% of them will complete a PhD?
No. So this would be for example, in our program, we have an undergraduate, master's, and PhD degree. Of those, let's say the 8 students would be the percentage of the total students that would be, they complete a PhD at that level. So, if we have 8 students, it'd be a third of the students complete their degree in this, through this program, not the actual success rate. This isn't related to the success rate.
Okay, thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Any further questions?
If I could add one just point of clarification to Dr. Ramirez's comments. Gray data are provided is a Gray Associates are a vendor to New Mexico State University. So they provide data on a national basis. So when we look at new programs such as this one, we do get comparative data, and it comes from these Gray Associates. That just gives you an indication of the rigor of the program nationally. And so, they look across the discipline, which is the CIP code for this program, with the overall completion rate. So those data may or may not be relevant to New Mexico State because they are a conglomerate of national data, and we just use it primarily as comparative basis, maybe not directly evidence for New Mexico State University. I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarification to you, Madam Treasurer.
Thank you for doing that. If you could state your name for the record, please.
I'm Don Connor, Associate Dean in College of ACES at NMSU.
Okay, thank you for that. Treasurer Montoya, did you have another question?
No, that helps a lot. Thank you so much.
Any
Lieutenant Governor,
Yes, yes.
Can I make a comment and build upon Dr. Connors? Ranjit Kudali, graduate dean. Essentially, Gray's decision intelligence software is used by NMSU to identify new undergraduate and graduate programs that can serve the population of New Mexico. Their completion rate data is obtained from iPads, and it likely refers to the completion rate. So, for example, if a student had enrolled in a PhD program across the nation in entomology, they are taken, that data is taken into. But if the student of his or own violation decides later to just get a master's instead of a PhD, there may be factors that the completion rate is not 100%. So that's why we have to be a little careful about the nuances of the completion data reported by Grace that is based on national projections. So I thought I'd offer that as a source of data point for you to make an informed decision.
Hey, thank you for that additional information. Seeing no further questions, Ashley, does anyone from staff have any additional questions or discussion?
Governor, no, thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion. We're on item number 16.
Governor,
Madam Treasurer.
motion to approve item number 16, New Mexico State University requesting approval for the Doctor of Philosophy in Applied and Agricultural Biology program.
I think we have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Paul Cassidy, I would second it, Governor.
Second by Member Cassidy. We can have the roll please be called.
Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales,
Yes.
State Treasurer Laura Montoya,
Yes.
Member Paul Cassidy,
Yes.
and Member Joseph Lujan.
Yes.
A motion is approved.
Thank you and congratulations on the program and look forward to many years of success. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
We'll
Thank
go
Thank
on.
you, everyone. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll go on to the next item. That's going to be item number 17. That's going to be an emergency funding request brought by Bernalillo County Metropolitan Court. It's requesting approval of emergency funding for water damage repairs at the Metro Park parking structure at Bernalillo County Metropolitan Courthouse, the executive parking garage. It's located at 801 4th Street and 401 Lomas Boulevard in Albuquerque, and they're requesting $650,000 on the emergency funds. Ashley, I'm going to turn over to you first, and then if we can go there, I believe we have our presenters with us.
Yes, Lieutenant Governor, thank you. We do have with us today Lisa Lowe, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the court, who I believe will introduce her team to present the request today. I would also note, board members, that this presentation or the board packets for this are beginning on page 1263 of your request for your packet, I believe.
Thank you. Do we have Joshua Sanchez, Judge Sanchez with us?
I'm sorry, unfortunately, he's not available. He's in court.
Do we have who's going to be presenting on this, Ashley?
I am.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't see who.
Mr. Chair, I believe the Metro Court has 3 presenters presenting from a room.
Okay. Oh,
But I am hearing a little bit of feedback, Governor, so yeah.
Yeah, I see them there. We might be getting some feedback because the computer might be on, but go ahead and try to begin the presentation.
Hi, I apologize. We're having technical difficulties here at Metro Court. My name is Lisa Lowe, or Lisa Quintana, actually, formerly known as Lowe. I'm the CEO for the Bernalillo County Metro Court. I do have with me today our CFO, Erica Perrine, and our facilities director, Tanya Torres, who is here. And as stated, Chief Judge Sanchez is in court right now, so unfortunately he cannot attend. We would like to say thank you so much for meeting with us today and for considering our request for an emergency loan in the amount of $650,000. And actually, we're requesting either an emergency grant or a loan so that we can make repairs to our courthouse and our parking structure that has water damage. In January of last year, we discovered some corrosion to the concrete on the first floor of our parking structure. We scheduled an assessment with a structural engineer who determined that the water damage has caused significant distress to the concrete pillars that support the structure of the building. It was determined that it would be in the best interest of the court to address the matter in a phased approach. The court initiated phase 1 and is requesting funding to move forward with the next 2 phases to begin repairs and remediation on that area. Additionally, in August of 2024, after a heavy rainfall, we experienced additional damage in our executive parking lot that was caused by water spalling in the concrete pillar and beams, ultimately caused by an exterior planter. The structural engineer that we had already been working with conducted an assessment of that area and determined that the planter will need to be removed to prevent further damage, as this could potentially affect the support of the main courthouse. We were respectfully requesting that we are funded in the amount of $650,000 so that we can proceed with both projects. This request, we have accounted for contingency funding to account for any additional damage that is found once engineers and contractors begin the work. I do want to note that we did request capital funding in the amount of $294,800. We did receive the recommendation from the LFC yesterday, and they recommended approval at $300,000. The reason we didn't ask for the full amount is because unfortunately we just received our invoices after estimates had been conducted. That came in after we were able to submit our request for funding. And with that, I open it up to any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you for that information. I'm going to turn it over to members of the board, and then I'll have some questions as well. Any questions or discussion from members of the board?
Chairman.
Member Treasurer Montoya.
So to clarify, the 650,000, you were able to get 300,000 in the LFC report yesterday that is expected. So are you requesting instead for a $300,000 amount, or are you still wanting the $600,000 loan with for sure payment of 300,000 back?
That's correct. We would like to repay it back if we're approved for funding. We would like to begin the work immediately. For every little bit of time that we let this continue, if there's any further storms, we're looking at further damage, and we don't know how bad this is until they get there. So us having the money immediately allows us to start the work sooner, and we can move forward with the project.
And Governor, I think this next question goes to the CFO. Do you not have a 3/12 reserve or a 1/12 reserve or a contingency amount that you guys could utilize for some of the costs?
Good morning. As far as any remaining fund balances, we don't have anything in reserves to cover expenses such as this. Our general fund reverts at the end of every fiscal year, so there's nothing extra available for this.
And Governor, how much did you all revert back last fiscal year?
Last fiscal year, we reverted back just a little bit over $6,000.
60,000?
6,000.
6,000. Oh, great job. So Governor, if you're only going to get the 300,000, how are you going to pay off the remaining balance of a loan if it's a loan?
So we will, actually, I'll let you go ahead. So we will build in, if we only get the $300,000 in order to repay the remaining $350,000, each year we would ensure to make a payment up to that loan of $665,000 until the loan is paid off. We would also try to go through the budget committee, the unified budget committee, to request capital funding, special money, or add it to our budget.
I'm sorry, you said, Governor, I didn't hear that last part. You would pay how much back per year?
$65,000.
Okay. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Any further questions from board members?
Governor, this is Paul. I guess I have a little different take. Going through the packet, and I absolutely respect where the treasurer is heading here. But it appears that it truly is an emergency, that you're likely to find additional problems once additional engineering is done. I understand there's more to come. The planter and all those things have created lots of additional problems, and we continue at this board level to see construction costs, just so many change orders and construction projects. And I know you've beefed the request up to 650. If there's one thing to follow up from Treasurer Montoya's questions are, what is the cash flow need going forward, not only on the 300 but the 650? Because where I'm kind of headed is you're likely to spend or need to spend 650 before the end of June. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, because you need this done. It's an emergency. So if we can't, you can't really wait on the 300 from the state unless it's an emergency, right? What do you really need and when do you need it?
Yes, thank you for that question. Since we have already began phase 1 of the parking structure, we have everything in order to start this project besides the money to get this project started immediately. So, as soon as we would receive the money, we have already been in talks with the engineer. We are good to go as soon as we have received the funding. But we did plan on the contingency amount. I think it comes out to a little bit of 115,000 extras what we had planned for. We're hoping that's all we will need. Of course, we will never know. As you know how construction goes, there's always more problems, as you stated. We're hoping that will be enough. However, if it's not, unfortunately, because we are in a dire state of needing to get this taken care of, we will unfortunately have to come back in front of the board requesting additional funding.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, for now.
Thank you, Member Cassidy. Any further questions from board members? I'll go ahead and I have a few questions. So you said that you were in the LSC recommendation yesterday. Was that for a one-time capital outlay appropriation? Where was that within the LSC budget?
Yes, it was a one-time allocation of $300,000 that was recommended. And it's in volume 3.
Okay. So have you submitted, I guess just my question with this is, if this is going to be capital appropriation, which legislator is going to carry that capital appropriation? I'm trying just to get an understanding of that process with LSC.
And I apologize, I don't know that information offhand. I can find out for you and let you know. I don't have that information right now.
Yeah, just because it seems like it's a little bit early on that process there.
It's the actual capital committee
Yeah.
for capital funding, not a specific legislature.
Yeah, so we just went through the unified budget process and requested the funding, and it's moved its way through. We are going to be presenting on this, and as you know, in the next couple of weeks through the legislative session. But that was just the recommendation of LFC that was made yesterday through their release.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'm going to yield to Secretary Props just to see as far as from the DFA perspective. Secretary, could you maybe kind of walk us through? I'm a little confused on the LSC recommendation, which is still beside the point because it's aside from the request of today, but I'm just a little confused on that. Do you have any information on the process that may be used there?
Governor, I'm sorry, I'm at a little bit of a loss too. I don't have the LLC recommendation in front of me. I'm going to try to pull it up as quickly as I can, but I'm wondering if this is capital or is this special appropriation?
Capital.
And so that's what I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around as far as that with the capital. I'm assuming it's a one-time capital outlay appropriation, but it still has a long way to go. It still has to be introduced through one of the sponsors that would have that, because I don't think we have that in our executive budget at this point for capital projects.
I don't believe so either, Governor.
Okay, we can work on that a little bit more and try to get some information. The emergencies there, and I guess I'm a little confused as well because we're talking about a loan, but on the agenda item, actually, there was nothing that was mentioned about a loan. Can you kind of clarify on that, please?
Yes, Lieutenant Governor, members. So the application submitted by the court did state either a grant or a loan. Staff are recommending a grant, and I can describe why. So it was our understanding that this would be a one-time capital outlay request, not a supplemental. And therefore, if the capital outlay request is approved, the funding would not come actually to the court probably in June, possibly fiscal year 26, July. Because we revert the balances of our emergency funds at the end of June, we would essentially be getting repayment in a later fiscal year. So it would be swapping general fund with general fund, and we wouldn't actually be replenishing our emergency fund in fiscal year 25 with any repayment. And in those instances, we've historically recommended a grant in that case because it doesn't really benefit the board to provide a loan, because then it's just a repayment back to the general fund that we're already pulling out of, and it doesn't replenish our coffers for this fiscal year for emergency requests. So that's why we were recommending a grant.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley, and thanks for that clarification, because I agree with you 100%, Ashley. Is that I don't think we should be talking about a loan. I think that whatever the legislature does, and if they can fund the one-time capital outlay request, that's fine if there's some additional costs. I think from our standpoint, the emergency fund's there for true emergencies, and this is one of those emergencies. You don't have to wait till the June or December sale of the bonds, or if it goes to general fund, there's still going to be a delay. So I would rather put aside the discussion of, and if we have the budget, I believe that we do have the budget with the emergency funds to be able to cover this, that you can move forward and make those repairs.
Governor, can I ask one question for clarification?
Yeah, Madam Treasurer, go ahead.
On the money that comes back after July 1st, that would still go into our next fiscal year fund, correct? Let's say, for example, the 300,000 as a loan, because we know they're going to potentially get it back. Would we be able to get that 300 and add it to the sum of what we might need for next fiscal year when we get our new appropriation?
Chairman and Madam Treasurer, no. If we get repayment from loans from a previous fiscal year and a future fiscal year, it goes directly to the general fund. It does not cause our emergency fund to increase.
Okay. And then the second thing is, if the legislature does give them the 300,000 and we give them also 650,000, and part of that 650 is the contingency of 116,000, then they're over about $300,000. So would we instead make the motion for that 300,000 to not come from capital outlay, or what would you suggest?
Chairman, Madam Treasurer, I believe, and I would defer to the court for this, but I believe their intention was that if they receive the grant funding, they would not move forward with a capital outlay request.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer, and Ashley, thank you for that clarification as well. I don't have any further questions. Do any board members have any further discussion or questions? Okay, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for the emergency funding request at $650,000.
Governor, this is Paul Cassidy. I would move approval of a grant to Bernalillo County District Metro Court for the emergency request through their application process.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I will second it with the secondary of making sure that there's no request for capital outlay for the same amount.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Member Cassidy. We have a second by Treasurer Montoya. If I can have the roll, please be called.
Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales,
Yes.
State Treasurer Laura Montoya,
Yes.
Member Paul Cassidy,
Yes.
Member Joseph Lujan.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Hopefully that is going to give you the necessary amount that's going to be helpful to get this repaired. I think further discussion can take place when we talk about the AOC and making sure that how this could work out with the office of the courts, but that'll be for further discussion because I know that at times they have unified budgets and they have a process there too. This one kind of is going aside from that process. I want to make sure that going in the future that we can making sure we're working with the administrative office of the courts to ensure they also get a handle on some of these requests that may come in. So with that, congratulations and thanks for the presentation. And we still look forward to seeing you all during the session.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go on to the next item. That's going to be item number 18, private activity bonds. And this is going to be Bernalillo County requesting a private activity bond volume cap allocation for the West Mesa region A project located in Albuquerque. So I believe that we have our presenters on. Is Christy on with us? Christy, are you on mute? We're having trouble hearing you. Christy, are you there? Yeah, we can't hear you. What we're going to do if we have, it'd be okay with the members of the board, is what you get just, I think, yeah, we get your sound taken care of. We're gonna go on to number 19. It's still under private activity bonds. We'll do that and then see if we can get Christie's sound to get taken care of. So we're gonna move on to item number 19. Santa Fe County requests a private activity bond volume cap allocation for the Turquoise Trail project located in Santa Fe. And I believe that we have the county manager with us.
Mr. Governor, my name is Leandro Cordova. I'm the Deputy County Manager. Here representing the Board of County Commissioners and Manager Greg Schaefer. Sorry he is not able to attend today. He had another commitment, but I'm here to represent the county. I'd also like to quickly acknowledge some of our team. Our attorney, Jeff Young, is on. I see our Community Development Director, Paul Olofsson, and our bond counsel, Peter Franklin. Also joining us today for the meeting is representative from Dominion, Ron Mell, and they are the developers of the project. So I also quickly want to make sure I thank and acknowledge the Board of Finance staff, who is always great to work with. And so just want to thank them for making this process a little less difficult. And then thank you, Board, for allowing us some time and the ability to present to you. This has been actually our second visit to the Board of Finance in the last 6 months, representing some of these affordable housing projects, and our second all-time, I think, for Santa Fe County. So we're still kind of new to doing this, but we're learning fast and trying to move more projects forward. Quick discussion about Santa Fe County's investment in affordable housing overall. Over the last year, the Board of County Commissioners have invested over $4.5 million in our developer assistance program, helping to bring 770 units of affordable housing into the Santa Fe area with 5 different projects over the next few years. Specific to this project we're going to talk about today, we did add another $1 million to their capital stack through our developer assistance program. We also, Santa Fe County has really invested a lot of resources into our infrastructure and what we call our sustainable development area around the community college. And these projects are going to also benefit from that core wastewater, water, and road infrastructure the county has been investing in over the last few years. So just wanted to bring that background and explanation of the Santa Fe County's commitment to trying to make a dent in the affordable housing problems that we all know we have within Santa Fe County, and in general, all housing shortages, and seeing what we can do to help support sustainable, smart growth around Santa Fe County. So specific to this project, Turquoise Trail Apartments, it's a 312 unit development located at 4608 Highway 14, Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's just south of the intersection of I-25 and Cerrillos Road. My best reference point is it's just north of Santa Fe Brewery. So in that area, there's also the last project we brought is in that same area as well. So there'll be 2 developments coming on board in that general area. It will consist of 3-story walk-up buildings spread across a 17.62 acre site. As I mentioned, 312 units, including 120 2-bedroom, 132 3-bedroom, and 64 bedroom units. The project will provide a competitive amenity package, which will include energy efficient appliances, durable cabinets, walk-in closets, and patios on select units. The exterior amenities will feature ramadas, a tot lot, solar carports, and a community lawn with grilling areas. The project is conveniently located near I-25, as I mentioned, and providing access to a variety of services, employment opportunities, and retail options. Additionally, the site is located closer to several large parks and other public recreational facilities. As I mentioned, Ron Mell of Dominion is also with us today to answer any more technical questions or questions specific to the project. But I think at this time, I'll stand for any questions from the board. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you for that. So good to see you, Leonardo.
You too, Governor.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the board?
I have one quick one, Governor.
Yes, go ahead.
I know water is always an issue in Santa Fe and infrastructure. I assume that all that's been taken into consideration and there's enough water around there and all that.
Governor Member Lujan, yes, so the county's utility is actually going to be providing the water for this development. We did work out with them a payment in lieu of, and they have purchased available water rights that our county utility had in our bank to be able to use and are specific to this project. And in fact, most I think of our developer assistance fund that we gave them was utilized to pay us for the water that they're going to be using. They've also been able to demonstrate ability to have much more sustainable water use, lower flow amenities, things as such, so that they have a lower overall impact in use. We will also be providing them wastewater services through the county. We have a project just south of the brewery that will redirect most of our wastewater flow to our Quill plant that's on the penitentiary grounds that is relatively new and has plenty of capacity to service this and the other project in that same general area.
Thank you, Member Lujan. Thank you. Any further questions? Member Cassidy, did you have a question?
I do, and I keep putting myself on mute. Thank you. I do have a question, Governor, and want to also welcome Leandro Cordova. Great to see you. This is a great project that you're bringing forward from my standpoint. On the mix of units is fabulous for low and moderate income housing with the 4 bedrooms as well. Just one question with regard to that. The location. I guess there's really no other places to put this closer to downtown or retail. I guess there's a lot of retail being put in down there in that area, and for access to services for that population base. But good stuff. And then also, if you could just comment on the rail runner station and whether that had anything to do with location of this facility where you're doing it there. And thank you.
Good to see you also, Member Cassidy, and thank you for your question. I will probably turn over most of that answer specific to the site selection to Mr. Mell, but I'll just briefly mention to your point on the rail runner. Santa Fe County has worked with New Mexico DOT and have received a grant to further develop our county trail infrastructure to have a better connection to the rail runner. So within Santa Fe County trail infrastructure, eventually people will have the ability to connect all the way downtown from our trail infrastructure through Rancho Viejo to the rail trail that right downtown. So it also would get them to the rail runner, and that's a point of sustainability growth at Santa Fe County is our trail network. We're quite proud of the work we're putting into that as well. So I'll turn over your other question to Mr. Mel that's more specific to site selection. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Leandro. Ron Mel with Dominium Development. I'm a project partner with the firm. Governor, members of the board, really appreciate your time today and consideration of this request. It's difficult to find zone property, especially for this type of density. This site happened to present that opportunity for us. There are everyday goods and services within about a mile of the site. I know that's not walkable for everybody, which we'd obviously prefer. But we also know that new light rail stop is going to be about a mile from the site as well. There's a lot of people that work in Santa Fe that live in Albuquerque and can't afford to live in Santa Fe, and we think this really does serve a need for that population. I appreciate you're noticing the 3 and 4 bedrooms. A majority of our residents are families, oftentimes single head of household families, and we think this site, while still a drivable property and not necessarily as walkable as would be perfect, it does provide that affordable housing that we know is needed, and our capture rates support the need for it. It's difficult to find zone sites at a price that works for this type of housing. So.
Thank you, Mr. Mel. Thank you, Leandro.
Yeah, thanks for your question.
Further questions, Governor?
Thank you. Do we have any further questions?
Governor, just one question for me.
Treasurer Montoya?
When we're looking at the total number of units and the breakdown, can you just give us an idea of what that monthly rent would be like for the 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom?
Yes, I can do that. 1 second, let me get to that area of my. It varies by county, and so, yeah, okay. Household incomes for a 1-bedroom, and these are 2024 income limits. Just they'll probably go up or stay the same for 2025. They fluctuate based on the area median income. But for a 1-person household, that's 38,480 or 460. 2-person, that's 43,920. 3 people, 49,440. And a 4-person, their income would be 54,900. Imagine trying to support a household of 4 people on $54,000. It's a tough call. So our 2-bedroom rents are about $1,119. Our 3-bedroom rents will be $1,259. And our 4-bedroom rents will be $1,369. Now, this will take 2 years to get built. So we'll probably start construction in July, and those numbers will change depending on area median incomes, but we'll be committing the property to those rent levels for the 60% AMIs for a period of 20 years.
Okay, and just from an economic standpoint, as you guys are constructing for the next 2 years, can you give us the breakdown of how many employees in New Mexico would be employed doing this project?
Oh, I don't have that off the top of my head. I know we did an economic impact study for the county, and I'd be happy to send that over. I know we're going to be, trying to source as many local general contractor jobs as we can with, local sub-providers. Our site staff itself will consist of a property manager, an assistant manager, a leasing agent or 2, and 3 or 4 full-time and part-time maintenance staff.
Okay, and Governor, this all has ADA compliance, correct?
It will. with our tax credit requirements, we have to provide a certain percentage of ADA units, and we always do that. So it will comply with all of that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your presentation. Great to see you.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer.
Good to see you, Ms. Treasurer.
Any further questions? Seeing no further questions, do we have any additional information from staff?
Chairman, no questions from staff, I don't believe. Marcos, is that correct?
That's correct, Lieutenant Governor. But I may be able to speak on Madam Treasurer's question. In the submission request from the county and from Dominion, they did include that through the construction period of the project, there was going to be about a little over 1,000 jobs generated. And I believe after the construction period is completed, they're estimating 5 full-time and 5 part-time positions. I just wanted to provide that information to the board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Seeing no further questions, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve item 19, Santa Fe County request a private activity bond volume cap allocation for the Turquoise Trail project located in Santa Fe for $70 million.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
This is Paul Cassidy. I would second the motion.
We have a motion. We have a second. If we can have the roll, please be called.
Yes. Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales,
Yes.
State Treasurer Laura Montoya,
Yes.
Member Paul Cassidy,
Yes.
Member Joseph Lujan.
Yes.
A motion is approved.
Thank you, Leandro and Santa Fe County. Congratulations. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Board. Thank you for your time today. Have a great day.
We'll go on to back to item number 18, Bernalillo County.
Can you hear me?
We have a connection. We can hear you,
great.
yes.
Apologies for my connection issues. Thank you all for having us. I am Christy Donaldson with Chelsea Investment. I also have Jeff Bryan with Chelsea and Michelle Denblecker with Yes Housing on the line. Chelsea and Yes are partnering in West Mesa Ridge. It is a multi-phase development. We are currently here for the first phase, which is West Mesa Ridge Phase A. It's 128 units, all affordable. It's in Albuquerque on Coors and Fortuna on the northwest side. We have a mix of units, 1 bedrooms through 3 bedrooms. We have 2 bedroom with 1 bath and 2 bedroom, 2 baths. Our range of AMIs that we are targeting is from 30% to 80%. And we are, our bond request for this deal is $28,900,000. This will actually be Chelsea's first bond deal in New Mexico, so we're very excited about that and very excited partnering with Yes on this deal. I think everybody kind of has the package, and so I don't want to go too far into it. If anybody has questions, I don't know if anybody wanted to ask questions or if you want me to go deeper in, but we have 34 1-bedrooms, 72 bedrooms, 24 3-bedrooms. Our site will achieve LEED Silver Green Building Standards. We also have tax credits, so we will have MFA's building standards and universal design features. We are working with Jeeves and Zuzu, an architect in Albuquerque, and we are also we'll be following the Albuquerque IDO, which is very stringent. So we have a number of energy requirements that we'll be meeting. I don't know if, Michelle, do you have anything you want to add to it?
Hi, this is Michelle Denblaker with Yes Housing. We're thrilled to be partnering with Chelsea and excited to be working on this project and get it under construction in short order. And we're happy to stand for any questions as well.
Thank you so much to both of you. Do we have questions from members of the board?
Governor, I see Mr. Martinez here from NMFA. Do you have anything that you wanted to add to this?
Thank you, Governor. Madam Treasurer, my name is Jacobo Martinez from Housing New Mexico, MFA. Thank you for inviting us and letting us be here. We have looked at the application and have reviewed the application and believe that this is a project that meets our standards and can move forward.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Treasurer Montoya. Member Cassidy, did you have a question as well?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say hello to Michelle Denblaker. We've worked with for many years here in the state, formerly with MFA and now with Yes Housing. And Yes Housing has been great partners for projects like this. The comment is, I'm sure glad we're seeing new companies in the business coming to New Mexico and partnering with our local nonprofits and MFA. And thank you, Mr. Martinez, for what you do at MFA.
Okay, thank you, Member Cassidy. Any further questions? Seeing no further questions, Ashley, is there any other information from the staff?
Chairman, I'll defer to Marcos if he has anything to add, but I don't believe we have any questions.
No further questions or comments, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
Governor, motion to approve item number 18, Bernalillo County requests the private activity bond volume cap allocation for the West Mesa Ridge A project located in Albuquerque for $28,900,000.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. We have a second from Member Lujan. We can have the roll please be called.
Lieutenant Governor Howie Morales,
Yes.
State Treasurer Laura Montoya,
Yes.
Member Paul Cassidy,
Yes.
Member Joseph Lujan.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, thank you again for the presentation and for getting the technical difficulties on the sound worked out.
Thank
Good having you on.
Thank you. We're very excited about this project.
Thank you. We're going to go on to item number 20. That's going to be informational items. Member Cassidy, I'm going to turn this over to you. It's informational items. I'm going to be able to bounce back and forth, but I just want to make sure to turn it over for you as we go through these informational items, as I have to step away briefly.
Happy to do it, Governor. All right, you're stepping away now, yes. All right, just want to look. So next is an informational item presentation of the 2024 AFIF Annual Information Statement. Turn it over to Ashley for your comments.
Thank you, Chairman Cassidy. Members, this will be very brief. As you recall, the board approved the annual financial information filing for 2024 at the December regular meeting in nearly complete form. Today, we are just reporting on the final changes to this report, and my apologies that the red line was not included in the board packet. I will be emailing that out immediately after this meeting. We do have it, but the changes are very, very minor. Typically, all we receive at the beginning of January are a couple of numeric changes to property tax valuations and outstanding debt for cities and counties, which staff have received from the local government division here at DFA. And those changes relate primarily to page 4 of the annual financial information filing under certain underlying general debt, obligation debt, and then further under a little further on under the property tax section of the report. This will be filed either later today or tomorrow morning. We did not receive any comments or questions from board members on the draft that was shared and approved in December. So our disclosure counsel, Kutek Rock, has this finalized. And like I said, I will share that complete red line with the board after this meeting, but those minor changes have been incorporated as is typical for the beginning of January. With that, Chairman, I will stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ashley. Board members, questions, comments? Seeing none, I want to thank you for sending this over. I wasn't able to get to the December meeting, but I've had a chance to go through it and knowing about these annual information statements. It's a really strong informational statement, really good data, demonstrating the strength of our finances here in New Mexico and actions being taken such as HB 253. And, one question I would have, Ashley, once you do the calculation, which is required here in January time period, I think it'd be helpful for the board to understand what additional funds might be put into that trust fund at the State Investment Council for capital outlay. But seeing none, I think that concludes a no action item, right, Ashley?
Correct. Yeah, we're just informational from now on out, Chairman.
Very good. I'm going to move on, seeing no comments. Item 21 is GSD Capital Buildings Repair Fund Financial Status Report for the month ended December 31st, 2024. And who do we have for that, Ashley?
Chairman, it's just me today.
Okay. Turn it over to you. Thank you, Ashley.
Yep. So this item should be on page 1683 of the board packets if you're following along. GSD has reported that for December it has expended $31.6 million out of a total of $39.9 million in awards. If you recall, this GSD owns and manages approximately 45% of all state buildings and land, and this report comprises funds from an allocation from the Land Grant Permanent Fund of 1.11%. Further in December, GSD has reported that revenues into the fund totaled, they did not bring revenues into the fund and they had expenditures of about $401,000. But the fund balance for fiscal year 25 to date is $39 million, with $26 million in an uncommitted balance. And I would mention that I will follow up with Director Silva, or I should say, I believe, Acting Secretary Silva. I know there's been some change over there to check in on that $0 in revenues that they're reporting. So not a concern given the fund balance, but I will confirm on that amount.
Thank you, Ashley. Questions from board members? Seeing none, let's go on to item 22, the GSD Legislative Capital Projects Report, Financial Status for the month ended December 31st, 2024. Ashley?
Yes. Chairman, this should be on your board packet 1686. For December, there was a total of just over $201 million expended out of a total 489, almost 490 million in total appropriations, which is the expended was an increase over the month of about 40 million. The report identifies all capital outlay projects overseen by GSD for which GSD receives capital appropriations. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll conclude.
Thank you, Ashley. Questions from board members? Seeing none, I have no comments there. And the next item is item number 23, which is the STO investment report for the month ended November 30th, 2024.
Yes, Chairman. In your board packets should be on 1701. Is the State Treasurer's Office investment report for the month ended November. The State Treasurer managed $16.7 billion in assets. During the month, the office earned approximately $58.7 million from its investment positions and realized and had an unrealized mark-to-market base. On an unrealized mark-to-market basis, the portfolios increased by about $4.9 million. And as always, we will be posting that packet on the board's website following the meeting. And it was presented at the State Treasurer's Investment Council last week.
Thank you, Ashley. Board members, any questions, comments for Ashley? Seeing none, we're going to go on to item 24, which is the emergency balances report. Ashley, turn it over to you.
Excuse me. Yes, Chairman, members, reporting out in the emergency balances as of today. This does not account for the grant that was approved earlier in this agenda, but we have an operating reserve fund balance of $3,271,056.57 out of a total $4 million appropriated for fiscal year 25. That will drop by $650 following the board's action today from that Metro Court. And then we have fully expended the balance of the emergency water fund. This report can be found on page 1796 of your packets, and it does reflect past rewards to the Village of Columbus in September, Cañada de los Alamos Mutual Domestic Water Consumers Association in October, and then to Casas Adobes Mutual Domestic Water Consumers Association in November. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ashley. Comments from board members? Others? Seeing none, let's go on to item number 25, which is the Board of Finance Fiscal Agent and Custodial Bank Fees Report. Ashley?
Yes, Chairman, thank you. Item number 25 can be found on page 1798 of the board packets. In December, the Board of Finance continued to realize negative net fees for fiscal agent and treasury services driven by the 2.5% earnings credit rate. Gross fees prior to application of the earnings credit totaled about $103,000, which is about 10% lower than in November. I'd also like to report that we did have Wells Fargo make that correction to the fees report that was discussed last month. So the report in the board packets does reflect that correction. Our custodial bank fees, as usual, changes very little. So we saw a total fee amount of $13,753 this for October. And as you recall, JP Morgan's invoices are 2 months in arrears, which is why we have a little bit of a older date on that item.
Thank you, Ashley. Board member comments, questions for Ashley?
Chairman?
Yes, Treasurer, welcome.
I would just state this report reminded me to let you all know that our state cash manager is retiring. His last day is on Friday. So if any of you know anyone that has that skill set, by all means, send them my way. But Steve Marsico has worked with the state a few years and had worked with Wells Fargo for 20 some years. And so we're very grateful for his service. He's helped out with a lot of our different projects that have tied in with the Board of Finance. And so I just wanted all members to take note.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. And when does he retire? Or has he?
This Friday.
This Friday. Wow.
Tomorrow.
He has been an institution in that position, right, for quite some time now. And well, since you're on, Madam Treasurer, I just want to say great job on the fees and earnings credit rate. And it's nice to see those negative numbers here in terms of fees the state's paying. So not to mention the production of the interest income here. You're an income generator for the state.
Thank you.
Additional comments? Item number 26 will go on to the DFA Joint Powers Agreement for the month ended December 31st, 2024.
Yes, Chairman, members, this can be found on almost the last page, the second to last page of your board packets, 1801. As we do each month, we report on the JPAs, Joint Powers Agreements approved by the Department of Finance and Administration. In December, there were 7 that were approved, all of which were between local public bodies or local public school districts and the New Mexico School for the Deaf for the provision of special education to students who have been referred by the New Mexico School to the Deaf. To the New Mexico School for the Deaf, who provide services to students within those school districts. And with that, Mr. Chair, I will stand for any questions.
Comments, questions for board members? I do have a question. Is one MOU that is all that's needed between like Farmington schools here and a school for the deaf, or is it go to particular students? Because we're seeing a lot of these recently.
Yes, Chairman, from my understanding, although I will confirm with our general counsel at DFA following the meeting, is my understanding that the joint powers agreement covers any students identified for that fiscal year. And then the specific JPAs will identify a cost per student for providing those services to them. So the language in the joint powers agreement is typically just general to the students identified for the fiscal year that are in need of those services, but each school district does enter into a separate one.
Thank you. So for instance, the top one, Farmington, it's $3,500 per student to provide services to that kiddo. Okay, thank you for that. Additional comments, questions? Seeing none, that brings us to the end of the agenda, and I don't see the Lieutenant Governor back yet, correct? So I think, do we have a motion to adjourn if we're ready to do so?
Yes, Chairman, and I just want to thank the Board of Finance team. They're amazing. Here comes our Lieutenant Governor. They make our job a lot easier. I mean, you heard her say 1,700 pages. That's a lot of legwork that they're doing throughout the month to make these meetings come together so smoothly. So I want to thank them for all their hard work and getting us to a good start with the new year. So thank you very much.
Lieutenant Governor, welcome back. I just want to wish everybody a very happy new year as well.
Thank you so much, Member Cassidy, and I agree with Treasurer Montoya that our staff is wonderful. Was able to make this move in a quick way and done it efficiently, so we didn't have anybody having to wait, especially when we have emergency requests. So I think that was very helpful. So with that, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I have a motion by Treasurer Montoya. We have a second by Member Cassidy. Any objections? Seeing no objections, the meeting is adjourned.
Take care.
Thank you, staff. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.